Hey, 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 how are y'all doing? It is day one of Sneak Peek Week, and I am so excited because we are going to be painting the most adorable set. Now, this is two pieces of the set here. We voted on it today on whether or not were we going to start off with the precious little queen bee bear, or were we going to start off with our really cute, really fun beehive door hanger. And were kind of neck and neck, like they were very tied. And so it was very hard to make a decision on which one we were going to do. And I just decided, you know what, there were a lot of votes for both of them, but it only naturally makes sense. Let's start with the door hanger. There's a lot of technique packed into this powerhouse of a door hanger. There's some really nice soft shades and some fun extras that you can do, and we're going to knock out as much as we can in the short time that we have together. I am going to grab my mock-up because I want you to see what we're working on. And I was trying to be, I hate getting up while I'm painting so, because it just throws off my momentum. But we've got this right here. So that right there is what we're going to be painting. We'll paint this tomorrow, and then Friday we'll do our garland, and I think an extra bonus project as well. I'm going to put this off to the side for right now. And as we're talking, let's just go ahead and start base coating. I didn't pre-base coat. I like to pre-base coat, but with this project, there's so many little tips and tricks and techniques that require multiple layers to be painted before we get to them that I didn't want to knock out complete base coats just to have to repaint it again. I do need to send my husband one quick text. I forgot to tell him that we were going live today. And he likes to call about the same time every day. And I want to give him the heads up. Let's not do that. Let's not do that today. Because if I miss the call, sometimes he'll call more than once. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't make, and he'll start to worry. So I was like, oh, I didn't mean to worry you. I just didn't want to interrupt my life. So I'm going to text him real quick. Okay. We should be good. I'm going to put this off to the side just in case there's an emergency, but I don't expect one. Hey, Brenda. Hey, Deidre. Hey, Cindy. How are y'all doing? So we are painting live. We're just base coating right now, and I have all fresh paints. And, of course, they're all going to be fussy with me. There we go. They are all going to be fussy with me. I need to just throw that there. Since they are fresh paints, do not trust paint fresh from the store. Always shake them up really good. The distribution fluid or the floating medium that's inside of our paints sometimes separates, and we have to mix that back into it. We are throwing just a light coat. I say light. We're going to base coat is the word I was looking for. We're going to throw a base coat of Sunny Day. You can use banana cream or bright yellow if you want. Bright yellow has a little bit dark tone to it compared to this very pastel, very bright and happy Sunny Day. It's a Sunny Day and banana cream are my two favorite yellows in the Deco Art line. And anytime, 9 times out of 10, if I'm reaching for a yellow, it's going to be one of those two. Hey, Marie, I'm at the skating rink with the kids, and I forgot my earbuds. Well, I can't find my earbuds. I was looking for them. I almost was this much late hopping on because I really wanted to find my earbuds because that really helps with the audio here. And I have fought using them while I go live only because it's just one extra step, but it's a step that really does help. And I just could not find them in my brain. Like I see them, I know where they're at, but they're not where my brain's telling me that they are, where they should be. I remember where I put them the last time I saw them, but apparently that was not the last time I saw them because they're not there. That or my sweet baby girl, has played with them and put them down in a different spot. Sometimes anything that is mommy's, she likes to mess with. If it's mine, then she'll pick it up and she'll go play. She'll go play with it. I have found that all of my all of my things are her favorite toys. And I've asked her one day, I was like, why do you do that? And she goes, well, I just want to be like you. And I'm like, I'm not even going to be mad at that. That's the sweetest thing ever. Okay, so we are just putting down a quick little base coat. I'm using a smaller brush than normal for my base coat. I usually use a 2-inch wide brush that I get at Walmart, but I am deep cleaning all of those. I'm trying to make those last as long as possible. Those brushes kind of get neglected more than all of my other brushes, and so there's a lot of paint buildup in them. So I'm really soaking those to get a lot of that paint out of them. And I've used those for paint parties for years, and so they have really just been put through the ringer. So there's times where I'll do my deep clean. Y'all know me; I like to use rubbing alcohol to remove the built up paint inside of a brush. But then I will go back and I will condition ones that are just really dried out, and so they're getting a condition treatment right now. Okay, so here we go. Still putting this base coat on. I could avoid the heart, but I'm just making things easier on myself and just going ahead and painting over it. I'd rather waste an itty bitty amount of paint than time, because painting around it, something that I call fussy painting around something, or specifically avoiding certain parts of my project just for the sake of saving paint. I'd much rather save the time that I would spend avoiding it. Hey, Stephanie. Let's see. I'm so happy to be on the live. I'm usually a replayer. Oh, that reminds me. If you're catching live, say hey. And if you're catching the replay, put #replay. Just let me know you came to hang out after hours. I see all the comments, and I do try to respond to as many as I can, especially those replay ones. Let's see. These replays will be available as long as Facebook keeps them stored on Facebook. Okay, we still have just a little bit up here. Oh! Making sure I didn't get paint on my watch. I was like, I don't want to get paint on my watch. So I have just a little bit more up there. And once we get this base coat on, the real fun starts. Y'all don't forget to spread the good word that we are live, because I have a lot of giveaways that we're going to be doing throughout the week. I've already got our first giveaway winner for Monday's live. And they are going to be receiving one of the stencils that we are going to use today. And I am going to, I have not notified them yet, so I don't want to announce it, but I will be notifying them via private Facebook message after I get them painting live here. And then later on tomorrow, I will be pulling a name or two from today's live for every time. And every time you do it, it enters your name into the bucket. So if you shared this live into 3 different places, that's 3 entries into the gift away. And I have multiple things we're gifting away. I've got a lot of stencils we're gifting. I've got my favorite paint water sprayers. So we're going to be spreading the Happy Mail love all week this week. And I think I'm toying. I am toying with a massive gift at the end of the week. I'm toying with it. I haven't sunk my teeth into it quite yet on exactly what it's gonna be, but it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. Becca is the same way, but since I don't have them, I have to hold my phone to my ear because they got the praise and worship. Oh, they have a praise and worship day at the skating rink. I think our local skating rink does that too. I can't wait to see this painted. Me too, Sandy. Oh, we got Deanna that is from Canada, and she is watching from, did she say Rainy? Is that BC, Canada? Is that British Columbia, Canada? What does the BC stand for? It's British something, Canada. My geography skills are not paying off right now. All right, so I am making sure that I am blow drying this completely dry because we need a second coat. We need a second coat. And let's remember, wet paint moves wet paint, and we do not want to add any more frustration than necessary. And my paint rag is gone. What happened to my paint rag? Ruh-roh. Why does this always happen? So there's always something very important to the process. I know what happened. Oh, and we won't get mad about it because that's Mr. Wallace being helpful. He probably picked it up and washed it. I bet you it's over in the hand. He always puts it in the hand towels. So let me grab it real quick. Yep. There's one of them. Good thing I have multiple. I bet you he was trying to do an act of service. Have y'all ever heard about that? The 5 love languages. Acts of service is one of mine. Helping me out. Hey, look, don't do this, don't do that. Just help me out. Quality time and acts of service. I love to be loved on with quality time. You don't have to hang out with me every day, but when we do hang out, let's really enjoy our time together. Like that's me. That's my number one. I love quality time. We're going to go full table while we're talking about quality time. All right, so we've got our door hanger fully base coated. We're just going to throw about a half a coat. It doesn't really have to be a real thick coat. This sunny day is a thicker paint to the point that we are going to, okay, I'm going to do a no-no. This is a painting no-no. Just to speed this along a little bit, I'm just going to put it on my actual wood and spread it around that way. The reason it's a no-no is because it is a very uneven coat. But I'm going to show you a little tip on when I do have to do this, how I keep it nice and thin. Nice and thin and notched. Because even that, I know you can't see it, but I can, and it's going to drive me crazy. All right, so that was just a little bit of water sprayed about 10 inches away from my project. Okay. The water is going to help my paint smooth out just enough to where it's not going to be caked up in one area and not too thin in another. So we're going to do it another quick little spritz. We don't want to oversaturate it. I use a fine mister. This is not like a hairdresser's water bottle or a water bottle that you would normally use to put chemicals in to clean the house. This is a fine mister. It has a very light and airy spray. You barely you don't feel individual droplets. You do not see individual droplets. It is like a mist. It's almost like a mister. All right, so I have one little spot down here. All right, there we go. We are fully base coated. So let's blow dry that. British Columbia. I knew I had it right. It just didn't sound right when I was saying it. Hey, Jennifer from Tennessee. Hey, we got Michelle. Hey, Michelle. Don't you? I hear it. You know when a blow dryer is about to go out and it's about to just go kaput on you? It makes that bzzz sound. It's doing it. I'm like, don't you do it. Not this week. You got to hang out with me. One more week, blow dryer. Thanks, Jacqueline. Y'all are the best. I'm like, I hope I didn't miss much. Girl, all you missed was a yellow layer. You didn't miss much at all. You didn't miss much at all. We haven't gotten into the fun part yet. We have not knocked out the fun part. All right, so these designs are Sneak Peek Week exclusives. You can get them in a bundle. And the way that they're bundled up is that you get the door hanger, the attachment, and the garland templates, JPEGs, and color mock-ups all in one big file. You get the um, door hanger at 22 inches. You get the attachment at 10 inches, and you get the garland at 6-inch pieces. Okay, so that's how they're sized as templates in the digital file. But I also go ahead and give you in that particular bundle, I give you the JPEG so that if you want to do the precious, I love this little guy, Queen Bee as a door hanger, which I do intend to do for myself eventually because I love this trio. What you can do is you can just resize that using the JPEG and Block Poster, or you can even do it with other programs like Canva or a Word document and size them up and down to whatever size you want, as long as your printer will accept the size, right? On multiple sheets of paper. But in the bundle, I go ahead and I pre-size the printable templates to being the sizes that I'm painting live with you here today. Like I said, you also get the JPEGs so that you can resize whatever piece that you want to be the size that you need. And if you would like information on where can I find these designs, the bundle, because this is only offered as a bundle as of right now. Where can I get this bundle? The bundle is $10, but you get all of that. You get each design in 3 formats. You get the color mock-up, which is a PNG. You get the printable template, which is pre-sized to the size that the actual project that I'm working on. But then you also get the black and white JPEG so that you can resize it. Yes, Sandy, I could not think of that website, but I knew the name was up here, but I couldn't get it out. So there's multiple programs that you can resize documents to. The one that I primarily use is Word document, but also Block Poster. But Rastabator is another one, and then Canva is another one. There's a good bit out there. So you can put the word. What word should we use? How about beehive? Put the word beehive in the comments, and anything that I talk about throughout the live, being the bundle, the wooden blanks, paint studio, anything that I will talk about, I will make sure I put a buffet of links for the people who asked by using the word beehive. I'll come back after the live is over and I'll put that buffet of links, and you just pick the link that you're looking for. It'll be all the links that I talk about, but you just pick the one that you need. And you may be interested in another one that you didn't ask for, but the word beehive will get you all of them. Okay, so we are ready to move on to the fun part. So our next step is going to be adding our polka dots. So every other section of the beehive is going to be a different print. So we're going to do a pretty stencil up here. We're going to do polka dot, pretty stencil, polka dot, pretty stencil. Okay, y'all get it? And like I said, from Monday's live, where we did a haul of all of our supplies, I went to Hobby Lobby Monday, and I got all of our supplies that we were going to need, including this stencil. This is the Show Offs brand. Hobby Lobby will put them on sale. They're $3.49 to begin with. Okay, they're $3.49 to begin with. But they go on sale. They go on 40% sale all the time. So you can get them even cheaper than that. Or you can use your Cricut or your Silhouette and just cut whatever size circle that you want. I have done that plenty of times. Or you can freehand your circles. Or you can use a polka dot sponge. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a stencil just because that's what I've got. And let's see. We're going to start down here. The one that you can't see very well just because of the angle. There we go. Right, this one right here. I think I'm going to use this one up here in the corner. All right, and I'm going to get a makeup sponge. I'm just making sure I don't have one already out. Now, I get these from Dollar General or Family Dollar, but I have invested in, I've gone to Ulta and invested in Oh, here they are. I think I like these more. I think I like these more. And they're not very expensive. They are very similar in size. They're a little bit bigger, so they last a little bit longer. This is the Dollar General one, not Dollar Tree. Okay, I cannot stress that enough. This is from Dollar General. This one is from Ulta. It's bigger. It'll last longer. You can reuse these, but they are my favorites. And they're easily to get. You can get them on Amazon, but the problem is whenever you get them online, I really need to feel them before I buy them. Until I trust them, I don't want to buy them until I have felt them. They need to feel like memory foam. That's the closest thing that I can kind of equate it to. They feel like memory foam. They don't have like what is that word? They don't have a very airy feeling to them. They feel very firm and squishy, almost like those pillows that the kids love, the little squishmallows. That's what they feel like. So I'm mixing white and yellow, the same yellow that I was using. I'm just mixing a little bit of white. I'm just going to take the back of a paintbrush. And because this is ghosted, this is what I call ghosting out, when I add white to an existing paint shade to create another paint color, another shade of a paint color. I call that ghosting out. This is about a 50-50 mixture, 50% of the sunny day, 50% white. As of right now, I'm using cool white, but you can use warm white or you can use titanium white. I'm not a big fan of using the titanium white all the time, just because it's paper white. It's very white, and it can be very almost eye searing compared to the other colors that you use on your project. So I like to use the cool or the warm white. So I'm just going to individually place my polka dots on each section that I'm going to have polka dots. And all I'm doing is I'm fussy painting this on there. So up here where my stencil is crossing over a line where there's not going to be a polka dot, all I'm doing is I'm just using my makeup sponge up to that line. Okay. These do not have to be perfect polka dots. These do not have to be super saturated. These are barely there, okay? The light on my ring light is going to blow them out of white balance. But whenever I post a picture of this, the polka dots and the stenciling on each one of these sections are going to really stand out in such an elegant and soft way. I've been using, yes, I like to use landscape whenever I make my templates, but not every time. Every once in a while, switching it over to portrait it's like the sweet spot for certain designs. But most of my designs, I make the template in landscape. And most of my templates, I will make at about 20 to 22 inches on the longest side. So whichever side is longer, if it's taller than it is wide, I make that template to be 22 inches tall, or 20 to 22 inches tall. If it is wider than it is tall, then I make it to be about 20 to 22 inches wide. So it's just a guesstimation. And, you know, knowing the size of paper, a lot of people struggle with block poster, but I don't, only because I understand the size of paper. Like, I have to mentally remind myself paper is 11 inches long and 8.5 inches wide. And those are my proportions if my design is going to be border to border. If there's going to be some white edges between the edge of the picture in the block poster viewfinder, then I have to remind myself that white space between the edge of the viewfinder and the actual white space on my paper that's a margin. That's going to be in there. That's being computed in that sizing. So I have to be very careful. And for those of you that don't resize door hanger templates, don't worry about it. I know it sounds like gibberish. It's just one of the struggles that any of us that do resize our project from door hanger to ornament or from ornament to door hanger, it's just one of the growing pains that we learn as we venture into that process. So I am just fussy painting these circles. Like I said, you do not have to have this stencil. I just love stencils. And so I'm using the stencil that I have. But you can freehand this with a flat brush and just making circles. Or you can use a polka dot sponge. You normally get my polka dot sponges from either Hobby Lobby, Walmart, or my favorite place to get them, which is the cheapest place, Dollar Tree. They have very decent polka dot sponges. But not makeup sponges. So I highly recommend going to Ulta and buying a pack of the Ulta Beauty wedges, makeup wedges. They are nice and pillow, memory foam like. They're perfect. They're even better when you dampen them a little bit. You want to squeeze all the water out, but they will triple in size when you dampen them. And so you have even more pouncing area. So if you're noticing, I'm not reloading my sponge with every polka dot. This sponge is really kind of trucking along just fine without having to be reloaded. Look at that. While they're wet, you can really get a good glimpse of them because they stay shiny. As they dry, they kind of mute down. Let's see. I think we have polka dot. Yeah, we have one more stripe or layer that is going to have polka dots. So we're going to go ahead. I am going to reload in just a second because it's getting kind of tacky and drying out on my sponge. The paint will dry out faster than it'll use up. Hey, Jesse, where did you get this stencil? This would be perfect for paint. Yes, I use stencils during paint parties all the time. This came from Hobby Lobby. It's the Show Off brand over on the craft paint aisle. The aisle that we get all of our craft paint, it's on the same aisle. Or at least at my Hobby Lobby it is. Okay, so I got a little bit over the edge of where I wanted it to be. There's two things I could do. I could wait for it to dry and just paint over it, or if I act fast enough, I can just get a baby wipe while it's still wet and wipe it up. No biggie, right? No harm, no foul. Okay, one more polka dot and we should be good to go. Like I said, these do not have to be perfect. You just don't want them to be messy. Okay. All right, perfect. So this, and it has all different size circles on here. So it would really be versatile for a paint party. You know what I did? No, I didn't. Yeah, I did. No, we're good. We're good. It just looked off. Let's see. I got it from Hobby Lobby. Let's see. Interesting. I always thought you used portrait. Not always. If you look, I don't have a template printed out right here in front of me. If you look on the cover page of every template that I do, it'll tell you what I have it set in. 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10. It's going to be landscape. It's going to be landscape. Very rarely I'll switch it over to portrait just because it's probably a design that's longer than it is tall. I mean, taller than it is wide. Yep, Deidre, that is an amazing yes, you can get stencil files. They sell really cute ones on Etsy. I gift a lot of, if I make a stencil file, Usually my paint studio will get it as a gift. I love stencils. I don't mind buying my stencils. I have a Cricut and a Silhouette, and I will make my stencils if I need a very specific one. I also make my stencils on my laser. I've done that for paint parties for years because the laser cuts a stencil like that. There's just because of fans, there's fans and lasers. You've got to be careful about how you pin that paper down because I use a poster board. All right, so I think we're going to use this stencil, okay? So earlier on Monday, I hauled 2 different stencils for this project that I was like, I don't know which one I want to use. I think I'm going to use this one. Let me tell you why. This is a really teeny tiny little print, and it's super cute. It is super duper cute, and I love it. And I'll use it on another project. For this one that has big chunky spots where we're going to be putting the stencil, I kind of want a chunkier stencil. So the cutouts in here are a little bit more full, and I think they're going to give me the effect that I'm looking for rather than itty bitty little spots. I think they're just going to look like teeny tiny polka dots at the end of the day if I use that daisy one. We're going to use this one, and I don't think they name them. No, they don't name it. This one is 366. So it's a long number and it ends with 366. So we're going to open this. And I did pick up an extra one of these. So it will be one of the gift-aways that we do this week. I'm just doing random gift-aways all week this week for all the people who spread the good word and share our tutorials out into the interwebs all week this week. I'm going to use same makeup sponge, same color. We are not remixing anything. I'm just trucking along with the same everything. And I'm just going to start stenciling. Now, if you need to tape your stencil down, go ahead and do that. Just know that you're going to be moving the stencil along. So you may be taping and retaping a lot if you end up taping it down. But a lot of people tape their stencils down. So I'm going to just walk my hand across to try to reduce this hopping. If stencils like to hop, I'm not a big fan of adhesive stencils, the sticky kind. I like regular old school stencils. And I prefer to use painter's tape if I need to make one really stick. All right, so I'm making sure that my design goes off the edge, the free edge of the design. That's going to make my stenciling look really nice and flowy. Okay, let's see. I'm using really super light taps. I'm not pushing my pouncer or my makeup sponge down very hard. I am just using really light taps. And I'm using the edge of my makeup sponge to kind of outline the edge of that section that we are wanting to stencil inside. Because remember, we're doing section by section. Okay. I wish you could see. Let me see if I can get close. I think it's, can you see that? Can you see the, oh, good. It kind of, all right, so you got polka dots on this section, and then you've got this really pretty, of course, the heart kind of intersects this one. You got this really pretty pattern. That's the word that I have not been able to get to come to mind this entire tutorial. Really pretty pattern on this one. So it's going to go pattern, polka dot, pattern, polka dot. So let's go up to this one. And like I said, we're just going to make sure that our design goes off the free edge. It's going to make it look nice and cohesive. Seeing if I can see the etched line. Sometimes I have to look through the stencil to see the edge line. So I'm going, I see something. I bet you it's because the heart is right there. Okay, we're good. So I'm using the edge of the makeup sponge to be the edge of where my stenciling stops. The hardest part of this process is making sure that you stay in the area that you're supposed to be stenciling. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it's real easy to cross that line if you're not supposed to. But remember, you can just take a baby wipe and clean it up. No biggie. Marie, stencils, okay, so certain stencils require a little bit more time versus freehanding things. Something like this, something that, I'm having to really pay attention to where my makeup sponge is stopping so that I don't have to undo anything that should not be painted. But I'm going to be honest, I like the clean look of a stencil. It's just so clean. And I feel like the use of stencils gets a bad rap sometimes because people say it's cheating. I say you shut your mouth. It is not cheating. You use your resources. And if there's a stencil that you're just like, I love that pattern, but I can't freehand that, use the stencil. There's no shame in using stencils. It's just like someone who makes bread. Like, I hate kneading bread. I hate having to knead bread or any kind of dough by hand. And if I have to knead something, like roll it out, I'm probably going to avoid that recipe altogether. Probably not going to partake in the deliciousness, and I'm probably going to miss out on something. So there are times where I'm just like, I don't want to make that because I don't want to knead the dough, or I don't want to I don't want to do this. But they make bread machines, and some people own a bread machine for the simple fact of kneading the dough. They'll knead the dough in the bread machine and then take it out and then bake it in the oven. They won't use the bread machine for the entire process. They just kind of cheat and use the bread maker for kneading the dough. They save their shoulders and their wrists and all the energy spent on that by not having to do it by hand. So I have 2 more sections to stencil. 2 more sections to stencil, and I think I'm going to be able to get it done. Do you hear the bouncing of the stencil? So that's why if you notice me moving my hand across, all I'm doing is I'm just trying to put some pressure on the stencil so that it doesn't lift up so much that it either moves my stencil and I have to realign things. This is a pretty busy pattern to have to realign. I don't want to have to do that. Or lifting up so much that I accidentally bleed underneath the stencil. The makeup sponge really helps control the bleeding. I don't have much bleeding when I use these makeup sponges, especially with chalkier paints like this yellow. This yellow and the white are super chalky paints, which makes them a little bit thicker, and that helps them not bleed as much. All right, y'all don't forget to put the word beehive in the comments if you want information on anything that we talk about during our live today. The word beehive will get you a buffet of links, whether it be for the template bundle. This comes with 3 different designs in all formats that I offer, being JPEG, printable template, and the color PNG. Or if you want to purchase the wooden blanks, the word beehive will also get you the link to where you can find the wooden blanks. Home Creations is amazing, and they help us make it easy for you by offering what we call a blanks bundle. So you will be able to do a 1-click purchase and get all 3 designs that I'm painting this week: the beehive, the queen bee teddy bear, and the 6-piece garland in the exact sizes that I'm painting this week. So you'll get a 22-inch beehive. You'll get a 10-inch queen bee teddy bear. And you'll get 6 pieces of a 6-inch heart, which is our garland. It's a one-click purchase. You don't have to add anything extra to your cart. You don't have to worry about remembering the sizes. It's all done. They're amazing. They do it for us. They take all the guesswork out. They also have each design uploaded on their site so that you can just, like, if you just want to paint the teddy bear as a door hanger, you can order the teddy bear in any size from 4-inch to 24-inch. All their designs, you can get any size from 4 to 24 inches. So you can do an ornament, you can do a door hanger, you can do a door hanger attachment or a porch leaner attachment or a wreath attachment. Oh my gosh, it's so stinking cute. I love it. It's really hard to see these yellows through the camera. It does not translate from real life to camera like I want it to. But I cannot wait to post a picture of this because the transition between polka dot to pattern to polka dot to pattern, it's perfection. All right, so we're going to take our lamp black. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to tell you we're going to save black for last. But today we're not. We're going to make gray out of it. Actually, do we have a gray? You know, I'm lying. We're going to use slate gray. I have zinc here. My Hobby Lobby was out of slate gray. So zinc is a good bit darker than slate gray. So all you're going to do is we're just going to ghost it out, which just means we're going to add white to it. So I'm going to put zinc or slate gray on my palette, and I'm going to add white. Not quite a 50-50 mixture. They did. Okay, well, Sue, you could do chevrons. I have a chevron one here. They do carry that chevron one. You don't have to have this exact stencil. You can just use any pattern. I just recommend a pattern one. When you do polka dots, I recommend doing the alternate stripes or sections in a pattern, whether it be like a florally pattern or a maybe chevron or a plaid. I highly recommend doing something like that. I just don't recommend a teeny tiny little pattern that has little teeny tiny pieces to it. This is a chunkier pattern. Hey, Juanita. Okay, so we're going to paint in our heart. We're just going to pull in an angle brush. Okay. The reason I'm doing an angle is because there's curves and points. So we've got the curves of the top of the heart, but we also come down to a really stiff point right here. And the toe of this angle brush makes it real nice and sharp. See that? We get real nice and sharp. Let me see if I can get you a little closer. There we go. I love the 3D options for the heart and the beehive. I love Home Creation. Stephanie, yes, I was just about to say, I did not even, I looked to see if they had the bundle and the individual pieces, but I normally click on each design that I upload onto their website to see which ones get 3D pieces, because not all designs get 3D pieces, but there are some good options for 3D pieces, and I didn't even look to see if this one got 3D pieces. I assumed the heart would have been a 3D piece, though. So that's another thing that Home Creations does for us, especially in our Paint Studio group. They will, if there's a design that I submit to them, and they see that there's a good option for a 3D piece to be made out of it, they will upload the design as an etched blank, an unetched blank, but also an etched blank with 3D pieces. So like if there's good spots in or good elements in a design that could possibly be a good 3D piece like this heart, you have the option to be able to buy that blank with the coordinating 3D pieces. And it's just it's so much fun to watch people paint them and build a 3D door hanger or ornament. Okay. I don't like how light this is. We're probably going to put a little bit of black in this and deepen it on that second coat. It's going to require a second coat anyways. There we go. I'll let that dry. I'm loving it so far too, Michelle. It's coming along quite nicely. See, the closer that we got, you can kind of see the polka dots on this section. You can kind of see the pattern stencil on this section. Once we put our shading on here, it's going to make that really stand out, especially here on camera. I cannot stress enough how much the camera is not picking up the subtle changes and how dainty and soft this is. But I am loving it in person. Hey, Jennifer. Canvas Sign Designs just hopped on, y'all. If y'all ever wanted to take a hand lettering course, Jennifer is your girl. She does such a good job at teaching hand lettering. Highly recommend you checking her out. Let's blow dry just for good measure, because remember, wet paint moves wet paint. And we don't want to cause any more frustration for ourselves than we need to. I am going to deepen this up a little bit. We're going to pull that lamp black, even though I told you we weren't going to use it. We're going to pull that lamp black. And Jennifer is amazing, isn't she, Deidre? We'll pull that lamp black in. We don't need a lot because black is very, very bossy as a paint. It will really take over. It will really take over, so you need to be very careful. I need an angle brush, a good size angle brush. I may only have flat brushes over here. I'm going to use this one. It's one of my favorite flats. And I just deep cleaned it the other day. So me using black on it, it's going to be very, what is that word? It's going to have no point in me having cleaned this brush at all, because black tends to linger in the brush a good bit. All right, so this is just that shade of gray that we had created. And I added black to it because I wanted it to be a little bit more of a contrast. Okay. And I did bump up in brush size just so that we didn't have as many brush strokes. And I did switch over to a flat. I highly recommend a shape that has a bunch of curves and points in it to use an angle. But if you're comfortable with using a flat will get the job done as well. Just be very careful. The reason I don't like using flats on shapes like this is because a flat's bristles splay out with pressure. An angle tends to keep its shape a little better. So when you use pressure, like I am, it's real easy for that brush to really just spread or splay out. So I'm just kind of being very careful. Okay. I'm keeping my brush strokes in the shape of the design that I'm working on. Okay, so I cleaned my brush. I'm going to dry it and I'm going to, oh no, I got a little bit of water on my piece there. Well, dag nabbit. See if I can smooth that out. Yeah, we're good. All right, that works. Let's blow dry that because we've worked hard on it. Let's preserve it. Oh, Marina, thank you. I try to keep it. I try to keep it simple, but I also don't want to ever assume that just because I understand what I'm talking about, that everybody else understands what I'm talking about. I truly believe we all learn differently. So I may over explain something, but that's only because I think someone else probably needs to hear it one more time. Just one more time. I don't know. I didn't know that about brushes. Okay, so yes, flat brushes have more. I wouldn't say they have more bristles, but there's just something about a flat brush that just spreads out more easily than a angle brush. An angle brush tends to keep its shape a little better with a little bit more pressure. I don't usually use a lot of pressure when I use my angle brushes. That's another thing. When I use an angle brush, my brain automatically thinks, don't push down as hard. But when I use a flat brush, my brain goes, smush that thing down. So it's just one of those, it's just a psychological trick for myself sometimes. Okay, so we've got the basics of the hive part painted. Let's go over here and paint our branch. Okay, so let's paint our branch. I may end up turning this, yeah, a little bit over here. Let me get you just at a good angle. Okay, there we go. I love that you explain stuff like this. It's such a great, thank you, Jennifer. Hey, Miss Stephanie. Oh, yes, I have my special shirt on. I know I wore it to school today. I was really hoping someone would ask me about it. But we had such a busy day at school. I don't think anybody thought twice about what anybody was wearing today. But it's my friend's shirt. What Miss Stephanie's talking about is my friend just adopted 2 precious babies. And for her adoption party and for all of us that went to the courthouse with her, we all got shirts that says we are the village because we're the village that helped with them babies. Those sweet, sweet boys. Okay, so we are going to move on to the branch. We're going to paint it a lighter brown. We're not going to make it a very deep, dark, and heavy brown. We're going to use khaki tan. Okay, remember, fresh from the store, we need to mix those paints up. We don't want to just assume because they're fresh paints from the store that they are not going to have separation. They are actually probably going to be the worst ones that have separation because they've been sitting on a shelf and in a warehouse and have not been shaken up in a while. So I'm going to use a flat brush. We're going to use khaki tan and we're just going to base coat this whole section of the branch. And if you ever find that you tend to overpaint, that's what I call painting outside of the lines, across the line. I find that making sound effects as you paint helps reduce that. I don't know the science behind it, but I know for me, if I make sound effects as I paint, I can promise you, it's probably going to be one. It's going to be more fun to paint, but 2, I tend to paint better. It's like my brain is being preoccupied by the sound effects that I'm making that I can't overthink anything. Okay. Okay, so there's coat number 1. We are going to do 2 coats. remember, you're not running out of paint. Your brain says, oh, I'm running out of paint. It's not that it's running out of paint. It's venturing to the other side. So usually if you feel like you're running out of paint, instead of pressing down harder, flip your brush over and magically there's a whole brush worth of paint over there. That's something that I learned a long time ago from old Uncle Bob. Long time ago, from when I was a kid and I would stay up late and couldn't sleep, and I would stay up and he would just be on, old Bob Ross. He made the comment during one of his, and I'm sure he made it multiple times, but during one of his landscape masterpieces, he says, don't press down and don't reload your brushes often. Usually there's plenty of paint on your brush to do exactly what you want to do without reloading or using too much pressure, because all that paint moved to the other side of the brush. And I have found that it's true with not only painting, but also painting your nails. Y'all know me. I used to be a nail artist. I used to take nail polish and make art on my itty bitty little canvases of nail beds. And usually, instead of re-dipping the brush back into the paint bottle, if you flipped it over, you could do a whole nother nail without oversaturating your brush. And then it's less mess. It's so much cleaner of a finished product when you paint your nails like that. All right, let's blow dry. Well, Cindy, I like that. Cindy says when you make sound effects as you do something, it's your brain temporarily blocking everything out so that you focus extra. That makes sense. That makes sense. I like that. Because it's true. When I make sound effects, my brain shuts off completely. Nothing outside of what I'm doing exists until I stop. Okay, so I've overheard, but really read, because remember, we're all online, right? I overread a lot of people saying that their paint is cracking on certain projects. One, chalky paint will do that. Thick, chalky paint, the yellows, the whites, anything that is, this one right here is a little chalky, this khaki tan, it's got a lot of white base to it. But overheating your project too fast, holding the blow dryer too close to your project or your heat gun too close to your project and rapidly drying it, especially during these colder months, the constriction of the liquid as it dries, it constricts and it pulls, and that's creating those cracks. Sometimes when a product has alcohol in it, it'll also do that. So be very careful about certain aerosol spray cans during the cold months. It will happen with chalky paints, aerosol mixing together, because there's alcohol as a propellant. Some of them have butane as a propellant. I didn't know that until there was a recall on, y'all, get this, dry shampoo. Your dry shampoo had, like, I think it was butane. Something. They always say it's flammable. Can we guess why it's flammable? I never understood why they said it was flammable. And it's because in a lot of aerosol products, they use stuff like butane to propel it as a propellant, to get it to out of the can. So if it goes, you want to look at the ingredients on it and make sure that there's no kind of alcohol-based product in it, so that to reduce the probability of your project cracking as it dries, especially during these colder months. Like talking yourself through things. Okay, so Cindy, I talk myself through a lot of things. A lot of people think I'm crazy. In fact, my parents had what they call a loving nickname, but I did not think it was I didn't like it growing up. It made me cry. Made me cry. They had a name that they would call me. And to them, it was a cute little nickname, but to me, it hurt my feelings. But it pretty much said that I was an alien, that I didn't belong here. They called me Space Cadet, and it hurt my feelings so much as a kid. Now, I mean, looking back on it, it's a silly thing to be upset about. But when you're a kid, it hurt. And so but it was because I talked to myself a lot. I talked myself through, and I've learned growing up and maturing and kind of, why do I talk myself through? It's, from what I understand, it's a processing thing. Like, for me to understand something fully, I need to mentally walk myself through it, but it helps me talk myself through it. But then someone has told me not too long ago that it is an anxiety. Like, it's a thing that kind of, it's like, it's an anxiety, a tell of anxiety, or kind of like an anxiety tick, talking yourself through something, or talking out loud to yourself because your brain can't keep it quiet any longer. And if that's true, then what is the word? What I am so lost for words right now. What is the word? That is true to me, because in my most anxious moments, I have found that I will just sit and kind of calm myself down by talking myself through something. So, of course, my parents didn't know that growing up. All they saw was their kid talking to themselves. So, but looking back on it, now I know why. God had plans for me to teach and just had to get me ready. So true. So true. All right, so I just laid down just a layer of a Hauser Light. I think I'm going to go one more coat. It's a little streaky. We want to get this as dry as we can get it before we go putting a second coat on here, because wet paint moves wet paint. We don't want to frustrate ourselves by moving too fast through the process. We want to completely dry each section before we add a second coat of anything. Wet paint moves wet paint, and it's just going to pull that first coat if it's not completely dry. And it's going to create streakiness or patchiness, or again, it can also be another factor in your paint cracking later on when it's drying. One, because your paint on top is dry, but your paint underneath isn't. And so now your paint underneath is starting to crack that second coat, and it just creates all this frustration. So remember, trust the process. Don't rush the process. Dry each layer completely before moving on to the next one. It's just like the stencils. The blow dryer is not a cheating. It's not a form of cheating. It's using your resources, and it helps you not get frustrated later on when it really matters, when you're completely done and now it's not cracking because you took your time and blow dried each section. Or you can let it air dry. Here we go. Alrighty, so we're going to let that dry. Again, Cindy's coming in with, that's another way that your brain focuses. That makes me feel so much better, Cindy. Because sometimes I truly did think that I was a little on the crazy side because I did it. Okay, so Jennifer says, anybody remember the cordless curling irons in the early 90s that use butane? Wait a minute, the cordless curling iron? No, I do not remember those, but that was before this girl started really getting into the whole let's be pretty. I didn't start doing anything more than brushing my hair until I was in, probably high school. In middle school, I didn't own a straightener or a curling iron or anything like that. If I wanted my hair to be a different texture, all I had was the foam. Let's talk it. You want to talk old school? let's talk the foam rollers that were different colors to indicate different sizes. Or I could have braided my hair and woke up the next day with what I call my mermaid hair. I now achieve my mermaid hair with my straightener. I don't have to braid it anymore. But that was my favorite way to wear my hair, was my mermaid hair. And I wear it a lot still as an adult, with the like kind of crimped, crinkly look to it. I'm older than you. You're not much older than me, Jennifer. You're not much older. I mean, you may be just a handful of, not even a handful of years. But my mama had curly-ish hair. So when she curled her hair, it was with hot curlers, and she only curled the front. She never really did a full head of curls. Okay. So we have got our yellow completely done other than shading. We have got our heart completely done except for shading. And now we have our branch almost this close to completely done except for shading. I'm going to take my khaki tan and a little bit of raw umber, okay? This is our darker color. We don't want to add a lot. Oh, there we go. We don't want to add a lot. But we're going to what I consider messy painting. Okay, so we got our khaki tan, our raw umber, and I'm going to take an angle brush. The reason I'm going to use an angle brush, you could use a flat brush too, but I'm going to use an angle brush just so that I'm going to have to get around this, okay? I'm going to turn this back sideways. I need to get a little tighter on that anyway. See how it's kind of like lopsided there? I need to clean that up. So I'm going to take my brush and what they call double loading. So that's just putting two different colors on my brush, okay? That's two different colors on my brush. It does not matter where they land, only because we're going to go over it multiple times. This is going to give us a faux. We want to work fast on this part, okay? Let me give you the best angle of this part as I can. So we're going to work a little fast on this part. This is going to give us a faux branch look. So I'm just kind of mixing these colors in with just light. I'm not pressing my brush down, okay? I'm not pressing my brush down, but every time I pick up paint, I'm picking up both the light and the dark color. Okay, and I'm just kind of mixing these in together with light brush strokes. And when it comes to these longer sections up here, I'm just going to make as long as a brush stroke as I can. Okay, following the shape of the branch. This is a skippable step. This is a skippable step. You could have just left it plain brown, but I wanted to give this part of my design a little bit of texture. They make all different. They make a wood grain stencil. They make a wood grain stamp. They also make a wood grain pulling tool for staining, but it also works with acrylic paint as well. I have multiple of them, and I've used them, and I love them. But I mean, this is just a small part of the design that I'm like, busting that thing out doesn't make sense right now. So for the very end of this, I'm going to just create that oval shape by taking my brush and taking the toe and creating just an oval right here. What that's going to do is that's going to make it look like we sawed that branch off, that's a clean cut. Now, from afar, our branch looks a little bit more realistic. We're not going for real life wood here. We're looking for a little bit more texture, just a little bit more visual interest, but we don't want to have to work too hard for it, right? So there we go. So far, we've done some stenciling. We've done a little bit of a faux bark look here. Now we're going to go over to our leaves now that they're dry, and we're going to add some texture to them without working too hard. Remember, I don't like to work too hard for my projects. I'd rather use the tools and some simple brush strokes to really make things come to life. You have a child that's 20. You do not. I know we've talked about our kids the last time that we were hanging out together, but I don't remember you telling me that you have a 26-year-old, Jennifer. No, ma'am. I have a 15-year-old. And I started early, though. I started super early. I was 19 when I got pregnant with him. I highly don't recommend that, but it worked out for him and I. Hayden and I are probably not the best example if you're wanting to keep other people from having children at a young age like me. Because Hayden and I have an amazing relationship, and Hayden is an amazing kid. And we struggled just because I was young and a single mom for a very long time. We struggled, but it wasn't, I mean, looking back on it, it wasn't so bad. But I don't recommend it. I don't. But I would never say, yeah, go for it. No. Even Hayden will tell you, probably not the best idea at 19 years old. Probably not. Let's not do that again, Mom. But all things considered, he and I, we survived. All right, so I'm gonna take the leaves, and I'm gonna go for the one that's furthest in the back. So this one's kind of covered up. This one's kind of covered up. So I'm gonna paint those first. I'm messy painting again. So I've put my Hauser Light and some white or light buttermilk. I went ahead and went with light buttermilk just because when we're messing with the greens and the yellows and stuff like that, the yellow required white. Light buttermilk was not going to change this sunny day yellow at all. But the green will play well with the light buttermilk. It's going to make it more of a natural foliage color than white. White would have ghosted it out so much that it was going to look kind of cartoony. Give me just a second. I need to ask Hayden something. Okay, I just had to ask him a question. I didn't know if he was going to be comfortable with me broadcasting the answer, so I went ahead and muted myself. Sorry, guys. Okay, so all I'm doing is, this is going to work better if this was about a 1/2 inch angle. I would prefer use an angle on this, but I can't find any of my big angles. So we're going to use a flat. Use what you have. Use what you have. All right, so I have 2 colors on my brush, okay? And I am just painting in the shape of the leaf. So I'm keeping the darker color towards the bottom of the leaf. Okay. And I'm working my way up towards the top of the leaf. I'm not worrying about this leaf because I'm going to paint it again. Okay. So if I overpaint just a little bit into this leaf, no big deal. This one overlaps this one, but look at the gradient. Look how the transition between the green of the leaf and the light hitting the leaf. It's more of a natural look. All right, so again, double loaded my brush with the Hauser Light and the light buttermilk. I'm going to keep the light buttermilk towards this top part of the leaf. All right, and this Hauser Light towards the curved part of the leaf. So what I've done is I've pretty much just designated a top and a bottom of each leaf. And I'm kind of using that as a pattern as I paint to kind of create what I call a messy paint highlight. And if you think it's too dark, add more green to your brush without adding any more light buttermilk and redo your brush strokes. As long as this paint stays wet, you can move it around. The second you blow dry it or it starts to get really tacky, you either want to take your fine mister or add more paint to your brush and keep that paint wet. 41. Graham and I were just talking about babies at a what I consider a later age. It's really not late, because he was saying having a baby in your 50s is late. And I was like, well, and we were talking about men primarily, and I was like, well, men can continue to have babies until, whenever they decide to stop. It's like the only ones that are dictated by a ticking clock is us women. So, I mean, think about it. He was talking about like having a baby in your 50s. I was like, well, technically, if you have one in your 50s, say you're 50 and you have a baby, or you adopt a baby, and you're 70, you're 68 when that baby graduates from high school, right? Give or take a little bit, but you're 68 when the baby graduates from high school. That's not too terribly far-fetched. It's really not. I've known people who have done it, and it wasn't like no one thought twice about it. But he, I guess just because I was so young, and I mean, even when we had Raylin, I was 29 going on 30 when Raylin was born. To him, even having Raylin at close to 30, he goes, well, I think we're done. I was like, no, I'm giving myself till 40. Now, whether or not at 40, I may rethink that. I was like, at 40, I may feel like, no, I'm done. Physically, I'm done. I don't know if I want to be running around after a toddler after 40, but my 40 looks different than other people's 40s, I'm sure. But he was just making it all about, I don't know. I say all that to say, we just talked about that. And I said, Jennifer, I was for you, boo. I said, 40 is not far-fetched for having, starting over again. Because for us, if we were to have another baby at 40, that'd be us starting slap over. Raylin would have been 10 by the time that baby was born, right? Which is what we did with Raylin and Hayden. Hayden was 9.5 going on 10 when Raylin was born. And I was like, I don't know if I want to continue spreading them out like that. It's like, I feel like if I'm going to be momming that much of my life, I want more than just, one every 10 years. So, and he goes, true that. I had one every day. Okay, so Jennifer, I didn't read your comment before. I just said that. See? That's what I was at, one every decade. I was like, I came from a family of a million children. And so there was very little space between our ages. And for my kids, there's 10 years between their ages. And I just feel like I want to get them a little closer. I'm 35 now, so we're creeping up on that, getting closer to a kid every decade. Let's see. I was 35 when we had our twins. See, Brenda was 35. See, and that's what I told Grant. I was like, at 35, I feel like I'll be at a point where I can say I'm physically done, like mentally and physically. We'll move on and we'll just wait for grandbabies. And I think that's where I'm at. But I'm not wholeheartedly there yet. So I'm this much of me is still not convinced. Okay, so I have one color on here that is not listed. I probably need to go back and add it. And that is marigold or antique gold or king's gold. You just want a mustardy or deep ochre. You just want a mustardy color. I'm going to use antique gold. Okay. You can also use marigold. What color is this? Honey brown is a good one. It's a little darker. All right. Or you can take your raw umber and add it just a teeny tiny bit to your sunny day, and you'll get a nice shade color. Okay, so I'm gonna grab some wax paper. Okay, so I've got some wax paper. Okay, Raylin's about to walk through the door, so it may get a little chaotic. We got a little bit of wax paper. She's going to want to paint. There's going to be a conversation about it. She's going to have to wait till we're done because we're this close to being done. We're just going to do some shading. We're going to do the bulk of the shading is going to be this yellow, but it's going to go really fast because it's the same brush stroke over and over and over again. All right, so we're going to grab about a 1/2 inch angle, about a 1/2 inch. You can go 5/8 if you want. In fact, I think this is a 5/8. No, this is a 1/2 inch too. Yeah, let's do that one. All right, wet your brush. Okay, so I've got the waxy side of the wax paper up, and I dipped the toe of my brush, so the very tip toe, so about half to about just shy of half, in the mustardy color. All right, do y'all see the transition between this color and the base coat color? Okay, so there we go. Now, my secret to really good shading is instead of like fighting over keeping my brush and my paint water clean, I just keep spray bottles. I have all different kinds of spray bottles here that I've been testing out, and so far they have all been fine. All I'm going to do is going to dampen my workspace. Okay. I'm just going to dampen my workspace. That helps my paint glide on a little bit better. Let me see if I can get you a little closer. Without having to reload my brush. But it also extends the time where I can move that paint around a little bit. So right here, it's still really, really, really dark. I want to thin that out a little bit. Instead of busting out a baby wipe, I'm just going to add a little bit more water and push it around a little bit. Okay, and then until you're happy with it. Once it dries, though, you pretty much locked it in. So I'm going to reload my brush. Okay. It seems like I'm putting a lot of water on here. I'm not. This is a fine mister. Okay, and I missed this spot completely. This is a fine mister. It's laying down the thinnest layer of water. My paint is not running because it's not really a puddle of paint. It's just a nice light layer of water. And that water helps move this paint along so that I can create these little shadows. If I feel like it's not spreading out as far as I want it to, I can just mist it again and keep it wet. As long as I keep it wet, I can still maneuver it. But as soon as I'm happy with it, which I'm happy with that, bump up just a little bit so you can see the full section. And because it's laying down such a light layer of water, it's not really taking too terribly long to dry. Okay, this right here is almost completely dry. This first section that we painted, almost completely dry. This section, I need to be careful about where I lay my wrist down. I don't want to move any of that paint because it is still wet. Okay. I'm able to do longer brush strokes. Notice I'm coming back and I'm working that paint along. Okay. See? Okay, so I want you to take a look. Before we move on any further, just because we have a good half of this done, I want you to see the difference between, let me see if I can get you at an angle where the glare of the water. Okay, so do you see how this has definition? And we didn't have to use a paint pen. We don't have to have a whole lot of real stark, heavy lines. All the definition is being created by this light layer of paint that we're putting down. And we're creating that with just simple things like water, paint, and the right size brush, okay? And then down here, it's very flat looking. So if we were to leave it like this, now if we were to have left all of this just very flat looking, it wouldn't have looked like a bumblebee hive, okay? It would have just looked like a big blob of yellow something. Your eyes would not, from afar, wouldn't have been able to really identify what it was. Because we're putting this light layer of paint in to create this depth in these shadows, it's giving your eye more to kind of comprehend what's going on. So I just wanted to bump back and give you a good look at what's happening here with just this little bit of technique. That's not hard to do at all. You just need the right shape and right size brush. And honestly, this water, okay, I'm going to switch over to a different mister. From afar, they look identical, and I'm pretty sure they are identical. One just has a top. They're in different, I don't know. That one had more of an angle to it. More power to it. Not angle. That was not the right word. All right, if you notice, I'm not going all the way up here. I haven't decided yet if I want to bring my paint all the way up there. I started about halfway down. Okay, and I'm not going to cross over into the heart, even if I do, because it's wet. All I have to do is take my finger and wipe it away. Okay, as long as it's wet, I can wipe it away. You can either use your finger or a baby wipe. Okay, let's do this side. Okay, adding some yellow to my brush, making sure the toe of my brush is on the edge where I want the yellow to be, the mustard yellow to be. There's Miss Raylan's bus. I can hear it. I don't know if y'all heard that. That was her. They have to go down the street, drop off the kids in the cul-de-sac, and then turn around, and then she gets dropped off. So we have a couple minutes before we're graced with her presence. Okay, bumping up just so that you can get, now that we've had a good close look, let's watch this just take shape. So here we go. I'm misting section by section just because if I missed it the whole thing, I was going to have to remist it anyways. I'm not using a lot of paint. I mean, I'm not using a lot of paint, but I'm not using a lot of water. Like I said, because you hear 3 or 4 spritzes of the water, it's really not that much water being laid down. Okay, and I went over the line, so I'm going to clean that up. Okay, there we go. And if you notice, every time I load my brush up, like I dip it in my puddle of paint, I don't necessarily go straight to the wood. I like to go over to my wax paper and load my brush again. Okay, so my paint is dragging. See how deep that is? It's not spreading like I want. That's because that water has already dried. So when I mist it like that, it helps me move this paint a little further. Otherwise, this is going to be really, really deep and dark, and I don't want it to be that deep of a transition. What's the matter, baby girl? I hear you pouting. Oh, you don't have to go in your room. No, she's not the favorite child. I had planned that she'd be coming in towards the tail end of this. All right, so that's real heavy, okay? I'm going to clean my brush, get most of this paint off my brush. When I'm done painting, you get to come over here and paint, okay? No, you're not going to sit down while I'm painting. No, we're not. You're not painting quite yet.
I just want to watch.
You can watch, but you're not sitting down.
I'm going to sit there for a while until it's my turn.
So when I spritz it, it gives me more opportunity to move that paint around and kind of thin it out. It's not as dark as it was.
Mommy, looks pretty.
Oh, thank you, baby girl.
What are we going to make today?
Get the majority of this paint off my brush so that my brush will soak up some of this paint.
Okay. That's so funny.
There we go. That kind of toned it down a little bit.
That toned down a little bit.
Yes, it did, didn't it?
Yes, it did a little bit.
Oh, why are you mocking me?
Why are you copying?
All right, we have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 more little sections to do, and they're getting smaller and smaller.
I just like copying you.
Okay.
Or copper.
Well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to ask you to go on.
No.
Okay, well then, be respectful.
Okay, Mama.
Okay. I missed it all the way down here and totally missed misting or dampening the section I was actually working on. So tomorrow, same time, same place, we will be hopping on to paint our Bumblebee teddy bear attachment.
Aw, cute.
Oh, well, thank you, baby girl.
Right.
So you're not going to want to miss tomorrow. I know just as many people who voted for the hive voted for the teddy bear.
I love the teddy bear.
The teddy bear is probably my favorite. I don't know. I love the hive just because of the different textures
I
that the stencils give the hive.
I like the bear most. Mom.
You like the bear the most?
Yes.
I have to be careful when she sees any attachment that I make or I get for my porch lantern. If she sees it, she likes to run off with it and decorate her little play kitchen in her room with my attachments. So if I have one that I'm quite partial to, I have to hide it. Okay, so 2 more little sections.
No, Mom, that's going to begin later.
What, baby?
What should you say first? That's going to begin later.
That's going to be later?
Yep. Mom, what's that?
What's what?
Why are you running the brush?
I'm just kind of evening the paint out on my brush.
Okay.
That's all I'm doing. I'm just, whenever I put it to the wax paper, I'm just kind of loading my brush up and making sure it's nice and even.
So it's not too dark?
Yeah, so it won't be too dark or too heavy, really.
Or too sparkly?
Yeah, you can do it for sparkles.
I'm going to paint today.
What are you going to paint?
I don't know.
Is that what you were asking me?
Yeah. Well,
I made you a watering can of hydrangeas.
What?
So for Paint Studio, our January design was hydrangeas. And I had made an extra attachment just for her because I knew eventually she would want to paint with us. What are you, trying to get your shoes off?
Yeah, so tomorrow I'll remember. I never put them in my kitchen, so I won't remember.
She likes to put her shoes when she gets home from school. She likes to put her shoes in her kitchen. Like she'll open up the fridge of her kitchen, her little play kitchen, and put her shoes in there. And then we can't find her shoes in the morning. And then I have to remember, oh, that's right. She likes to hide them in her kitchen. Why? We don't know. We don't know where she got the idea to do so. But she hides these strangest things in the fridge of her kitchen.
Like for Easter egg hunt.
Like an Easter egg hunt, yes.
Oh, that's an Easter egg. Like it almost looks like an Easter egg. That thing almost looks like an Easter egg.
You think so?
No, Mom, because it's okay to say about my socks because I left them.
Yes, you can stay in your socks as long as you don't go outside. Okay, so here we go. Do you see all the shape that took place by just adding a little bit of shading? We're going to take our Hauser medium.
Mama.
What?
Can you use pink yellow? Pink yellow. This mixed it.
What is pink and yellow? Oh, pink, yellow. Oh, pink and yellow.
You-
No, I'm not going to mix pink and yellow.
No, it'll make a pretty color. That was it. But it will be so pretty.
It will be pretty, won't it?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do the same process with the Hauser medium. You can also go a little darker.
Heart. That's a heart.
That is a heart in there. And do Hauser dark if you want, or a darker foliage green. I'm just going to kind of deepen up the bottom part of each one of these.
It looks like you said
leaves.
Bowser. It looks like you said Bowser.
You think so?
That's Bowser. That Mario Kart. Bowser. Maybe you not even more glitter.
Oh, be careful. Oh, don't get that on your dress.
Oh,
Oh, don't get that on your uniform, baby girl. Okay.
I just hold it in.
All right, so we're going to load it up with Hauser medium. If you want, you can mist it. This is a shorter distance, so you may not have to mist it as much.
That's more easier.
There we go. And we're just creating a shadow.
It
Okay,
will-
and this is on the green of the leaf. Okay, we're not doing it underneath the on the yellow. We are doing it on the leaf. Now I will do it underneath this leaf.
Because it will be ugly.
Oh, well, it just won't make sense, baby girl.
Or ugly. Like,
Sure, it'll make it ugly.
or never look ugly.
Okay, so I'm adding just a little bit of this Hauser medium to the very bottom of each leaf, just to give it that little bit of shadow, as if the leaf has a little bit more roundness to it.
I remember I had this dream and I was naked.
You had a dream that you were naked.
Yeah, but now we're off. Now I think of good dreams.
Now you're gonna have good dreams. Well, I sure hope so. That I wouldn't want a dream where I was naked.
I hope today will.
Good thing it wasn't real.
It was fiction.
It was fiction.
You remember when we went to the house and then I was there and kids were there.
Really?
Yeah, only 2 kids were little.
So I'm just lifting this leaf off of this one by putting a little bit of that darker green
I could get my brush
to create a
first.
shadow.
I'll use this brush later for my painting. Because it looks pretty with the pink on.
Just like I did here underneath this one.
Do you need this one?
No, baby, I'm good. Thank you, though.
But I'm going to keep this one. 'Cause I know
So there we go. So this, the little bit of a shadow that I put there.
Okay.
And-
Wait a second. This
Baby. Shh. I'm trying to explain something real quick.
This is
That one is yours, isn't it? So I did on the inside, on the bottom of each leaf, but these 2 leaves that are on top. So we got 2 that you see the entire leaf, right? And then we've got 2 that are kind of tucked behind. So the 2 that are tucked behind, I went ahead and put just a little bit of a shadow on that leaf itself to create separation between this leaf that's on top and this leaf that's tucked behind. I made sure to do it neatly. Good job. That was not the word I was going for, but it works.
Yeah.
There you go. So there we go. Now we're going to take a little bit of our marigold or antique gold or whatever.
I wish I could make good as you.
Whatever mustard color that we picked. I used antique gold. And I'm going to go just...
Mom, can I go to Icy's after this?
No, we're not going to get ice. No.
Icy.
No, I said no.
But it's actually hot.
I just put a little bit of shadow on this side created by the leaf, okay? I'm also going to put a little bit of shadow underneath this leaf. If you notice, I blow dried or blew dry. I don't know how you would say that. I dried all the work that we did earlier. And I'm going to put a little bit of water right here. And I'm going to add just a little bit of shadow on the beehive where this leaf
of the colors. And
meets.
then you'll have purple. You mix all the colors. And you make
You don't want it to be
purple.
super dark. You just want to
So
create
you want it
separation.
like-
You just want to create separation. between the hive and the leaf, and that leaf casting a little bit of a shadow on top. We're going to do the same thing right here underneath the heart. But like I said, you notice that I dried, fully dried, bone dry, all the work that we did by putting these lines in. The reason I did that was so that when I go across those lines to put this shadow in.
Can I go see what's in?
What?
Can I go see what's in?
You can.
You know what I'm saying? Can I go see it?
No, not right now. I'll give it to you when I'm done, okay? I did that so that when I go across those lines to put the shadow of the heart in, I don't erase them because of that water. I would have just erased and just moved it this way instead of kept them going this way.
I need a pen. Just for a little bit detail if I need it. And
How was school today?
really good.
Did you use your Lexia?
Yes.
Lexia is the program that she uses for reading.
And today I'm a level 5.
Did you? Well, we worked very hard last night to get you to a level 5, didn't we?
Yep, but no more level 4.
That's right.
I can't wait to be on level 6.
So I just did the very bottom. I didn't do the top. I just did the very bottom. And as it dries, remember, your paint will dry about a half a shade darker than when it's wet. So I don't recommend looking at your shading and saying, oh, that's not dark enough, and then adding it while it's wet. I highly recommend let it dry, step back and look at it, and then evaluate it from that point. So right now, this right here is really light compared to the rest of it. Just that one little corner. As I'm talking, I was kind of looking, and I wanted that to be just a little bit darker.
Yeah, I'm going to pick this brush too. I'm all ready for my set.
There we go. And that looks a lot better than it did. All right, so there we go. That's all of the yellow that we're going to do. We're going to put a little bit of shading on this, this branch. No, then we'll do paint pen. Then we will do paint pen. In fact, can you go over there to the coffee table? Because my paint pens are over there. And see your sock? That bag is my paint pens. All right, so for this part, I'm going to take raw umber, just raw umber. Remember, we mixed the raw umber to create this shade, right? So if we put just straight from the bottle raw umber, it should give us a nice...
I'll see Mom have one. I'm just kidding.
Thank you, baby.
Can I see them?
Not right now.
Oh, I want to have a picture.
I'm going to move this out of the way. I do need my wax paper.
Pizza.
So because I use wax paper, I can just put it, as long as my project is dry, I can put it right on top of my project, and it's not gonna create a problem.
Gotcha.
And I'm just going to, let's see.
And I have to get this brush. I forgot all about it.
All right. We just want to dampen that. If this was a smaller project, like an ornament, or you'll notice tomorrow during my attachment, using the sprayer, I won't use as much water because I'm not going as far. Ray, can you please stop? I'm not going as far with the water or the brush.
Don't go too fast either.
So with this, I'm going a lot farther. I'm going, 22 inches this way on this particular section.
My hands rubber bands.
So I want to use a bit more water on a door hanger just because we're going further, potentially. Okay, so there we go. And then I'm going to do the bottom of each little section. Okay, right there. And right there. And then if you want to, you can do behind the leaves. Okay. And that is all the painting that we're going to do. The last step is usually I don't use paint pen on every design that I hand paint. What I normally do is I let all this shading do all the talking. But for this design, it's a patchwork design. I love doing little patchwork. The reason we did 2 different prints and in each section is to make it look like two different fabrics, right? So we're going to blow dry this and get it bone dry because wet paint will ruin a paint pen. Hey, Lori. Hey, Marilyn. Aw, thank you, Cheryl. It's my favorite part of painting. Shading and then doing all this little dimensional, messy painting. Those are probably my two favorite techniques. Oh, Becca. It's me. I'm Becca. Mama is driving, so I had to text it. I just wanted to say hello. Oh, Becca says hey. Can you say hi, Becca?
Hi, Becca.
She's over here tearing labels off of everything. All right. So I'm going to focus up here because that was the last thing I script. Okay. So if you ever wonder where I would put, if you struggle with putting accent lines on your pieces, on my designs, I always give you where, if I'm going to do accent lines, where I would put them, okay? And with this one, since we're doing paint pen,
Actually, no. Honestly,
for the patchwork lines, we'll probably do paint pen on the entire design. I'm going to use a 1MR or a 3M size paint pen. 3M probably being way too thick for these stitching
you
lines.
got a new cup.
Okay, let's start with 1MR. If we need to bump up to 3M, we can. 5M is just too big for most things that I do. No, not right now. 5M is better for like maybe some hand lettering, for thicker hand lettering. But for me, these stitch lines, 1MR, usually is a sweet spot.
This is the last touch.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's gonna take a minute because we have to individually.
Okay, tell me when it's my turn. Wow.
Just do these little hashes. Now I'm doing about 1/8 of an inch.
What are the hashes for?
They make it look like the beehive was hand sewn.
Mom.
What, Raylan?
As you put the lines, that looks good on me.
Okay, and you can do it on the bottom of each section, or you can do it on the entire section. I'm probably going to bump back over to this side and start working this way. That way my hand's not running through wet paint pen.
I got a pen. Well, not a paint pen. Well, I will use a paint pen. Make sure to not use I'm going to use a paint pen too. I'm going to use the orange one.
What did you just drop? Can you pick it up for me?
I wanted to use this one. That's what I wanted to use. Okay. I don't know how you can. I don't know you can. That paint's so good. I didn't know you can do that.
Oh, you didn't, did you?
No. That's a heart beehive.
It's a heart beehive.
Yeah, I put the lines. That's a heart beehive. That doesn't look like a real one. Okay, Mom.
It doesn't look like a real one.
That's a nice beehive if you put the lines.
Well, it's not supposed to look like a real beehive because we're putting stitches in it. The stitches are supposed to make it look like a quilted beehive.
Wait. Oh, you were...
The quilting stitches are probably my favorite thing to do on something where I'm just like, I don't quite know how I want to finish this off.
1, 2.
Now, where
1, 2,
the stitch,
1, 2,
baby, please
1.
stop. Please stop. You're talking over me.
Okay.
All right. The stitch lines can also be where you would just put regular paint lines, or if you like to use a brush, your accent lines using your brush.
And also how to use that dog thing.
What dog? Oh, the polka dot dauber.
Okay, let me get it. Just too stuck. This is how I...
Yeah, that was you.
I'm purple.
So these stitches do take a minute just because they're hand drawn. But, oh, baby girl, please don't knock that over. Okay.
I'm just going to take them out there and I can reach it. For me. Got it! That
So I
was
do about an 1/8 of an inch to about a 1/4 of an inch, and I space them out just as far as they are wide. Now, if you do wider stitches, you want to space them just a little bit closer to each other. Otherwise, they'll look kind of off. And all I'm doing is I'm just going along the etched line. Okay, and this is offered in an etched and unetched blank, anywhere from 4 inches to 24 inches. Or you can get the bundle that has all 3 decor pieces, the 22-inch blank, the 10-inch attachment that we're going to do tomorrow, and then the 6-piece garland that we're going to do Friday. You can get all those in a bundle.
I'm gonna put these on.
No, you're not. Raylan, you need to stay out of my stuff.
Okay.
You said you wanted to watch, okay?
Oh, yeah.
So your eyes need to do a little bit more watching, and your mouth needs to do a little less talking, okay?
But I can't wait.
I know you're so excited. All right, so there's the stitches. Now we still need to do a couple of stitches in the heart.
Oh.
We're not done with that black. We're gonna finish up the beehive part. We do need to shake.
Shake for 5 minutes.
Oh, thank you, Marilyn.
Marilyn?
Yeah, my friend Marilyn she said that it's beautiful. She gave me a compliment, and I thanked her for her compliment.
Mama.
Yes, baby girl.
What happens if somebody doesn't like your paintings?
Well, that's their opinion. If they don't like it, that's okay. It's not everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, but I like it. I like your painting. I love it when you're painting.
Oh, thank you, baby.
Because if you don't pay for 106 years, you won't want the cost.
Her favorite number right now is 106 and 186.85. Anytime you ask her how much something is, she goes, "Oh, it's 186.85." I'm like,
And that's how much I love my mom.
that's how much you love your mom.
Yeah, that's you.
Oh, I'm your mama? I didn't realize that.
I am my mom.
Okay, so just because we did the black stitch, we could leave it just like this. We could not do any black. In fact, I don't think I will. I think the only outline that I'm going to put is on this little. I'm going to use the 1MR. Remember, that is like a felt tip pen. So all those flare pens that people like to use, it's about the same size, if not a little bit smaller than those. So all I did was a little swirly in the almost like wood, like the rings of a wood slice. You can put some lines in the leaves. I'm going to leave mine alone. I did enough highlight and shade in them. I think that you can tell that they're leaves from far away. But as of right now, that is our entire tutorial. And it's so weird when we make the screen smaller, you get a better look. You get more of the door hanger. When I make the screen bigger, it cuts off the bottom of the door. It's so weird, the dimensions of this thing. So here's our finished door hanger. I'm going to show you what I would normally do to attach.
You see those lines? That looks like a real bumblebee.
Does it look like a real bumblebee?
Yeah, the bumblebees are nice and beautiful.
All right, I need scissors.
Oh, why my hair's red?
Does anybody know where my scissors are?
Oh, do yes. I know.
It's not over here, Ray.
Raylan knows where I know that she knows where my scissors are because she asked me this morning. So I'm going to cut my twine as soon as Miss Raylan brings me my scissors. And I'm going to show you how I would attach twine to our door hanger. Oh, let's not walk with it like that. Okay. I'm going to cut anywhere between 10 to 12 inches of twine, maybe a little bit bigger. I would much rather, this twine is super cheap. If I waste a little bit of it, no big deal. I don't want that much hanging.
This is the last part.
This is the last part.
And then I can do it.
Okay, so the way I do my twine, in fact, let's go back full table.
Full table?
Yeah, full table.
What's a full table?
Full table, like you see more table than me. Okay, so I'll hold my twine in my hand. So I pinch the end with my fingers, and I hold the rest between my fingers and my palm, creating a little bit of a loop.
Listen.
I put my finger through, I twist once, I twist twice,
You better.
and I pull I twist once, twice, and I pull the loop through. And that creates almost like a double knot. It creates a double knot to where it's a little thicker, so my staple won't go through my wood, right? Let's go 1 and then 2. So you got 2 little loops on your thread there. And then I put the free edge through, and I just scoot while holding the free edge. I scoot the knot towards the free edge. Please stop.
I was looking at
Can you put all those up, please?
Okay, I was gonna put them right.
All right, now, ensuring that my design is dry, I'm going to flip it over.
I put it right there.
And I'm going to center on the hive itself, okay? I'm not going to center on this because the way I design,
It's beautiful.
this is actually centered to the hive. So this is as wide as the widest part of the hive. So I know easier for me to make the hive. Let me see if I can bounce back a little bit. I'm telling you, the dimensions are just weird whenever I go full table. So I'm going to make the center of the hive north and south, okay? I'm going to take the twine that I just made loops on, and I'm going to hang my twine centered to the hive, not necessarily centered to the leaves, centered to the hive. And I'm going to use a 1/4-inch staple. I get my staples from Walmart or Lowe's. I believe they're Arrow brand, but they're 1/4-inch staples.
Be careful with that thing. Oh, you did it.
Hold on. No, I've got staples in there. There's 3 staples.
You better get some more too.
There we go. Sometimes my staples won't shoot, and I don't know why. And it's not. I don't know. They just won't come out, especially if it gets really low on staples. But I refuse. I refuse to put a whole new stick of staples in there until it gets low, because I hate breaking them in half. So there we go. So there's our.
Mom, I'm so jealous.
You're so jealous. It'll hang straight, just like that. Now, you could have brought it in closer and just did it right here. I wanted my twine to be a little wider, just so it had a little bit more room to hang. You could also use, I believe it's 12 gauge wire. I get fencing wire from the hardware store or from our local feed store. It is cold outside. It is rainy outside. I am not going to aerosol spray this, okay? What I'm probably going to do is I am going to brush seal this. Here's what's scary. I'm going to put the lightest little layer of aerosol spray on here just to seal in this. Please stop. Just to seal in this paint pen. The paint pen scares me with a brush-on sealer. But I don't necessarily want to fully seal this with as much paint pen, because the paint pen will smear. It's not if it's going to smear, it is going to smear, especially as much brushing that I'm going to have to do with a brush-on sealer. So I'm going to let this completely dry overnight, and I will probably take it outside or to my garage. I hate spray sealing during the cold. She just knocked over my bag of paint. It's okay. Yeah, it's right. It's okay.
Just leave it out of it.
Shh. We're so close to being done, baby girl. The spray sealer is just not your friend during the cold, wet months. But a light layer isn't going to hurt anything. And all I want to do is just kind of seal in this paint pen so that I can do a nice thick layer of brush-on sealer. The last thing I want to do to this before we end is I'm going to take my furniture pin. I get these from Dollar Tree. They come in a 3-pack. I throw the other 2 away because for what I use them for, they're not dark enough. I grab the one that has the black pin in it because there's 2 different color schemes. There's 2 different types of the furniture pins. I get the one that has black in it. I throw the other 2 brown ones away, and I keep the black one. And I want you to
it's supposed to stay pretty.
see how messy it is on the side with all that, especially with the the yellow because it's such a contrast between the yellow and the black of the lasered etched lines. Even if you don't have a lasered etched door hanger, you could have cut yours out with a jigsaw or with a CNC router.
That looks more beautiful now.
It doesn't. It does, doesn't it? It's like you can faux laser etch lines, or you can just make it easier on yourself, not having to match paint on top to the sides, because a lot of people will take their paintbrush and extend their paint to the sides. Makes it a lot easier. Just getting this brush or this pen and just running it across. Let me show y'all the difference. You see the difference? See how nice and clean that edge looks compared to
No, don't touch it.
that?
Don't touch it.
It's a huge difference. So all I'm doing is I'm just running. It just takes a minute. It's a lot faster than using a flat brush and some paint and trying to clean up the edges on the side.
I love the smell.
I love the smell of this pen. It's one of those oddly.
I love the smell of the wood.
Oh, I love the smell of the wood too.
No,
Some people with laser say that the laser etched certain woods smell like a burnt marshmallow.
Hey, that's
They
not
say
nice.
it has like a marshmallowy smell,
That's not nice.
and it's true.
That's not nice, right, Mom?
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, okay. I
Is it
thought
okay if I have the last of the salsa? Might not use it all.
I don't think you. No, you're not going to use it all, baby. That's half a thing of salsa,
Are you testing?
baby. What I'm saying is, you should not eat half a container of salsa in one sitting.
It's more of a
Dude, she's not talking. She's not talking about this for your
Yeah,
life.
it's more of
And
Definitely a
now-
teenager. Definitely a teenager.
Hayden, you're still a teenager anyway.
All right, so I'm on the tail end of cleaning up my edges.
You can feel your skin too.
The thing I like about this pen, it gets in some pretty tight spots. Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to waste my time trying to get into these little cutouts. No one's going to be looking in there, and if they do, and they judge us because there's a little bit of paint on the inside of that cutout, they're not our friend anyway.
You just ignore them.
That's right, Raylan. You just ignore them, okay? So here we go. Here's our finished door hanger, all painted up and hanger attached and cleaned up on the sides. I don't think there's another thing that we could have done to this to make it any prettier. We could have put some glitter on it, but I don't.
No.
We'll do some glitter tomorrow.
I don't.
Where do you buy those pens? These pens right here, I get at
Hobby Lobby.
Dollar Tree. I buy these at Dollar Tree. They're just the furniture pens. They come in a pack of 3. So it's like a pack with 3 markers, and I just throw away the brown ones and keep the black one. They're $1.25, and you can buy a pack of like 8 or 9. Baby, bye. Of 8. Oh, baby girl. Of 8 or 9. But all I'm going to use is the black one. So I'm not going to buy the full pack at Hobby Lobby when all I want is this one. I'll just buy it at Dollar Tree. Probably won't have them. Let's see. Yes. Let's see, mine probably won't. So where I find this is in a weird spot. You would think you would find this in like the home decor set where they have like the little collapsible boxes and the little over the door hanger things. These are in the automotive section. Don't ask me why. These are in the automotive section, kind of close to where the sandpaper is. Alrighty, so if you enjoyed painting this with me today, I want to invite you to come hang out with me tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Where and Raylan too, where we will be painting our bear. I'm gonna give you a little sneakity peekity.
It's good.
Our bear attachment. So that's what we're going to be painting tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you have any friends that you think would enjoy watching along with us, make sure that you spread the good word by hitting that SHRE button and or tagging them in the comments here so that they don't miss a thing, because we've got a lot of fun springy decor stuff coming up this week. Until tomorrow, I'll talk to you later. Bye.